Let me start off by naming the defendant in this case.
Oh my gosh.
Synchrony Bank. For those of you that don't know, Synchrony Bank is a financing company, credit company. They work with a lot of different brands to essentially provide their financing options and or store credit options. So Amazon, right? If you have an Amazon store card, that's managed through Synchrony Bank. Lowe's Home Improvement, also managed through Synchrony Bank. Let's see. There's lots of others, I know. Another one is Rooms to Go, right? It's funny that I mentioned these three in particular. I had a Lowe's card with Synchrony for like 15 years now. Mm-hmm. I've had an Amazon card and been a Prime member for 8, 9, 10 years, something like that now. Both of my cards in general good standing, like less than 10% balance on the credit line on each of them. Right. Good payment history. This weekend, we were buying some furniture for our house from Rooms to Go. And we went online, and I'm ordering, and I'm like, oh, cool. They offer either 5-year financing, because I really want to pay off a couch over 5 years, or 24-month, right? No down payment, 0%. Yeah. Why not, right? Spread it out a little bit, no big deal. Apply for it. Cool, you get approved for more than you need. Great. Monday, I get an email from Lowe's. It's like, hey, don't forget, you need to make this payment in a couple of days. I'm like, all right, cool. So I log in. Hey, this red alert notice at the top that says, hey, this account has been closed. Please continue to make payments until the balance is reached 0. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird.
No, it's not. It's fucked up.
Okay. That's a little strange. So I call. So first off, this is great, right? I'm on the Lowe's website already, right? So I go to contact. I try chatting with the stupid robot thing, and I'm like, why was my account closed? And it's like, oh, click here to find out more. And it's like a link. Why was my account closed? And I click it, and then it just says error in the chat message. I'm like, cool. So I call the number that's on the website. And they're like, thanks for calling Synchrony Bank. Before we connect you to an operator, we have some exciting offers that we'd like to tell you about. Please use your keypad to answer the following questions. And it's like, are you over 50 years old? Press 1 if yes, press 2 if no. And I'm like, no, I'm not over 50 years old too. It's like, great, thank you for answering. You are being transferred now. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm skipping through. I'm going to Synchrony Bank. And it's like, thank you for contacting, excess medical devices. And I'm like, it's like, it sounds like a woman has picked up the phone. And I'm like, hello? And she's like, we really appreciate your time. Because of the answers that you questioned, or the questions that you answered on the previous survey, you may qualify for a special medical device at your home. And I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on here? I called to talk to my freaking credit card company because they closed my account and they're trying to sell me some defibrillator for my house. I don't even know. So I'm like, all right, screw it. Hang up. I look at the back of my card, my Lowe's card. I call the number on there, which is a completely different number, by the way. I'm like, so what the fuck is up with that? I finally get through to somebody, and she's like, well, we have a note on here that it was closed yesterday. I'm like, I didn't ask for it to be closed. And she's like, oh, no, we closed it. And I'm like, but why? And she's like, well, it doesn't say. And I'm like,
we'll find out.
She's like, but you will. There's a letter that's in the mail, and you should receive it in the next 7 to 10 business days. And I'm like, so I have to wait a week or two to find out why my credit card was just randomly closed on my behalf. And she was like, well, I have the letter on file here, but because it's confidential, I'm not allowed to read it unless you give me permission to read it. And I'm like, you have my permission to read it. Okay, great. And it basically says, because of activity on your other Synchrony accounts, we've determined that you're at too high a risk to pay back the balance of this account and are closing it at this time. Again, at Lowe's, I had a $15,000 credit line and had a balance of less than $1,000 that was not overdue, was up to date on all of its payments. On Amazon, I had a $1,500 credit or a $1,500 balance on a $4,000 line of credit. So it's not 10%. I realize I fucked that math up.
Your math is not right.
But, again, in perfectly good standing, all minimum payments had been made in addition to other payments. I was paying off the balances of all these things. And then because I opened a $4,500 line of credit through Rooms to Go to cover my furniture, which did not cost $4,500, by the way, but that was what the amount that they qualified for, so they gave it to me. They decided to just close all of my other Synchrony Bank accounts. They closed my Amazon account too. These are accounts that I have had open for over 10 years each. Like, this is fucking up my credit score because these assholes approved me for a line of credit and then closed my other accounts that were already open. Instead of denying my line of credit for furniture, which I could have paid cash for. I only did it because it was available, right?
No,
like,
I'm going to be a dick.
Do it. Do it.
Your first mistake was the credit card. You just should have paid cash for it. In my mind, I'm hearing everything you're saying. I'm like, I just would have paid cash for it.
But if you have the option to pay something off 0% finance for 24 months.
No.
No?
If I know that I'm going to spend, let's say, $3,000 either now or 24 months from now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to spend it now and just buy it. We're not buying
$3,000 you're spending now is worth more than the $3,000 you're spending 24 months from now. Inflation. Like, in 2 years, $1 will be worth less than it is now. So in theory, you're paying. I'm this fucking financial math. Don't even start with me. I had a concentration in finance and business management at the North Carolina State University.
I don't think I like your attitude.
No, I don't like it either.
I'm just telling you, like, I'm not saying what they did is right.
No, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. Like, ultimately, I could have paid cash for it. I just was like, if I don't have to fork over this cash right now, and again, right, my biggest issue is why did you approve me for a smaller line of credit and then turn around and close my other lines of credit?
Christopher, they don't care. For them, it's
no,
about...
I understand that. I'm well fucking aware. I'm just saying that as a financial institution, you have literally lost one customer.
They don't care about one customer. That's the issue that you're failing. Like, the way you get around.
But how many listeners do we have?
Sure.
I am asking each and every one of you to send me $20. No, I'm not. Please don't send me $20. I'm joking. I just want people. Look, ultimately, I will be perfectly honest. The thing that pissed me off most was that they did not contact me about it.
Right, so lack of communication.
If they had communicated with me before I logged in to make my payment, it would have been completely different. The people that I talked to on the phone, I want to be very clear. I was not abusive. I am as somebody that did not do, like phone support, but that work customer service. I like to think that I have an appreciation for what people are going through.
Right.
And so I called and I'm like, look, this happened. I'm just trying to figure out why. Like, why did you guys close my account here? And what was most frustrating was that even when I was forwarded to a supervisor, and then that supervisor, they couldn't explain to me why. They basically said, we only work on the low side of Synchrony Bank, and we don't have access to the information in terms of where the decision was made. The only way that they say that I can get that answer is to write a physical letter and send it to them in the mail or fax it to them. I'm sorry. What fucking century do we live in that you still have a goddamn fucking active fax machine at Synchrony Bank? I swear to Christ, you gave me that fax number, you are going to fucking regret it. I am going to send you fucking faxes for the next 50 years. Every fucking day, you are going to receive a fax from me that says Synchrony Bank can literally go fuck itself. Signed officially, Christopher John Robert Smith, the Duke of Catherineburg, Esquire. Fuck.
Oh, man.
I'm pissed. I mean, I know you can tell, but like this shit, I spent so much time yesterday going through this, and when I finally got the answers, I was like, fine, fuck it. I'm paying off the rooms to go stuff. My other accounts are closed. They're paid off. I will literally never open another Synchrony Bank account. That's it. And I know that they don't care, but my goal is that also every fucking individual that I interact with, if money, the word money is mentioned, I'm saying, you want to hear something funny about money? Don't ever work with Synchrony Bank.
But people don't know.
I don't care. I know, but that's going to be my fucking mission in life from now on.
Yeah.
I am taking down Synchrony Bank. Motherfuckers, I'm coming for you. You done fucked with the wrong person, and I'm like, this was not the time. of all the fucking Mondays to decide that you were going to close my Amazon, and I'm in the middle of a goddamn fucking house renovation, and you're closing my fucking Lowe's account. All right, cool. Home Depot's my new favorite fucking store. Like, that's where I'm at. This is not just about Synchrony. Every single company that works with Synchrony needs to consider what kind of fucking company they're working with. I'm sorry. I know that I'm angry, but it's there is absolutely no reason that there couldn't have been some form of communication to say, Mr. Smith, because of your application here, we have decided that in the next 10 days we're closing these accounts. Please contact us if you feel that that's not right.
You understand the price you're paying on credit and the interest you're paying, that it's all about a deal of not having to handle the processing for that store, right?
Yes, I do.
So
100%.
And it's so,
but again, right? It to me, if you're the CEO or the financial person at Lowe's, and all you're hearing is that the financing company that you're working through is literally preventing your customers from coming and buying more stuff at your store. Do you want to work with that bank? I mean, that's part of what I don't understand. Like,
but I'm just telling you, like, I think this is just me being me. I would have paid for it in cash.
Well, yes, I fucking get that, Andre. I'm not.
I would have never.
But you're saying it like you've never fucking bought something on financing, like you've never financed a purchase.
Over the last 15 years, over the last 10 or 15, no, hear me out. Over the last 10 or 15 years, it's like probably less than 2% of what I buy is ever on financing.
Sure, and I get that. Like,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying, like,
sounded like you were.
I mean, if you're going to use credit, just have a credit card that has the balance that you need, right?
Sure.
Like, I don't like store credit cards. I don't like credit cards in general. I sure as hell don't like store credit cards. And I rarely use credit because I just know that it's just not the game I want to play. I'm saying in hindsight.
No, look, I understand, right? I think part of it is that
my theory on credit is this, right? Would I ever want to pay like 8% for a pizza? Like,
no, but that's not, to me, that's not the point, right? The point of credit, you're not paying 8% if you pay it off at the end of the month, right?
Oh, sure.
And that's where I look at credit in two ways. One, as a way of building your own credit score, right? If you maintain a low balance and pay it off every month on your credit cards, that's a really good way to build positive credit score, or to help rebuild a negative credit score, right? Or a low credit score.
To also, like on the flip side, or the actual in parallel, to increase your debt load. And that's where people get in trouble. Right?
Sure. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. People over-leverage themselves in those positions. They put way more on the cards than they can pay off at the end of the month, and then they're like, oh, shit, well, now I'm paying 20%. Fuck 8%.
Or imagine if they buy a house, right? They have great credit, and they're house poor. And I think things like that, and I'm not trying to knock you, I'm just saying in general, I think financial literacy is something that a lot of people are illiterate in.
Yeah.
Just because you can buy a $600,000 house doesn't mean you can afford to live in a $600,000 house. You can buy
just because
anything.
you got approved for $600,000 doesn't mean you need to spend $600,000.
No, it doesn't mean you can afford it.
Well,
right?
But that's what I'm trying to say. Right? Like the bank is saying, here, we'll give you $600,000. That doesn't mean, well, now I need to go buy a house that's $600,000. Right.
Right.
If they're saying you're approved for that, okay, great. I know I've got a little bit of wiggle room, but I should be aiming for something that's affordable, where at the end of the day, right, I can manage that monthly payment.
As a realtor, I would often meet people that would, I would sit down and talk to them and say, hey, so what do you like to do in your spare time? Oh, we'd like to go out to eat. We'd like to go on vacations. We'd like to go to movies. And then, like, they want to look at a house that's like a buck and a half over their what they can afford. I'm like, or what they can truly afford, right? Yeah. At the top end of their approval. I'm like, remember when you said you used to like to go out to eat?
That's not happening anymore.
You're not going out to eat in that neighborhood.
You're barely even going to stay home and eat.
You're going to have a house with no curtains. So that's how I look at it. So I'm not being a very. I think it's funny, but like.
It is. I mean, that's the reason I shared the story, right? Like, at the end of the day, there is an element of humor in this. Yeah, I was sitting here laughing, going, because I hung up with the first girl, and I'm like, this is stupid. This is so fucking stupid. Like, who does this? So I called back.
But the worst thing to do is, like, when you close the account and you say, here's my final payment, right? Yeah. I remember the first car I went to go buy, and I was... like, first brand new car was probably 20 or 21. And it was like a Nissan Altima, right? I'm talking like at the time like $17,000 or $18,000 or something like that. I'm like, all right, that's cool, just a second car. And we're talking like 90 something. So it wasn't like it was a nicer second car, right? Man, these idiots trying to get me to buy like a $37,000 Nissan Maxima. I'm like, my dude, like, do you understand? I came in here for a second car. Like,
right. Not only that, but you've more than doubled the price that I was looking at.
Yeah,
like,
like,
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we doing? And the guy was like, no, but you can afford this. I'm like, no, I'm sure I can, but I don't want to pay that much for a car that's just going to sit in my driveway.
It's fucking...
So...
yeah, I mean, and I do. Like, I get that. Yeah, obviously, I've learned, right, from this scenario. I'm not going to be doing store credit cards going forward, and that's fine. It's just disappointing, I think, more than anything.
It's frustrating. I get it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you close a card, and then you just spend cash on it the next time, or you use your main credit card.
I think, where I think I got mostly frustrated, again, aside from the lack of communication.
But they got you, though. They got you because they tricked you with the 2 years. But think about the math here. Yeah. 2 years, 0 interest.
Yeah.
You're going to spend $3,000 on the front end or the back end.
Yeah.
So you have the $3,000, right?
Yes.
You see my point?
I still argue that my $3,000 now is going to... I can invest my $3,000 now and make interest off it and pay it off in 24 months. Whereas I'm just... From a strict financial literacy standpoint, I do believe that it makes more sense to take the 0% financing and pay it off simply because it gives you more liquidity. But I understand exactly what you're saying, right? That that's not what most people do. They say, I can't afford to pay this right now, so I'm going to get credit to pay it off over the next 24 months. That's not what you need to be doing. This was more in my mind looking at it going, do I want to spend $3,000 now, or do I want to spend $3,000 over the next 2 years? I decided in that moment that I thought it was going to be more
advantageous
to do it over 3 years, and obviously 2 years. I got fucked in the ass on it. Like, I mean, it didn't work out. So I lost. Like, I lost, and I just, more than anything, I think I want people to understand, right, out there, that the individual things that you do when you're buying from one store have the ability to impact you at other stores. This was not something that I thought was going to happen. I thought when I saw that Synchrony Bank was the one that was offering 3 rooms to go, I'm like, hey, that's great. I have a good working relationship with them. I don't think I'll have any problem getting credit from them. And I didn't at first. And I do. I mean, they got me, right? They were like, dude, $4,500, take it. Oh, by the way, we're closing all this other shit. You need to pay it off. I was like, all right, well, cool. I'll just pay it all off, and y'all.
But you know what's weird though? Like, you got $15,000, and they're willing to lose that account for
$4,500. That's what I don't get. That's what I don't understand. It doesn't make sense, and nobody could explain to me. They were looking at it like, well, that doesn't usually happen like that. So I don't said but they couldn't tell, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'm just done. Like, so, anyways,
that was fun.
Thank you.